hullabaloo, and she's really not trying to hear it, but she really doesn't say anything about it. What's up, everybody? Citizen Kimberly here. Welcome back to the channel. And now it's time for an episode of Netflix and Chop, where we slice open and dissect the feature film. Today's feature we're going to be discussing is a 2016 Danish horror film named Shelley. So the story starts off and we have still shots. We have a wooded forest area located right next to a lake. The lake has mist flowing throughout it, and then all of a sudden there's a still shot of the entire set, and we have filter, a red filter that becomes stronger and stronger until it's so saturated the entire picture is red. And then we have Shelley right in front of us. We also flash to a scene where we're in a Volvo and we're driving on this non-paved road. Within the car, there are two people that are having a conversation. Through dialogue, we figure out that they aren't really acquainted to each other, as the gentleman who is driving the car is asking the lady questions, like, what did you do before you got here? To which she answers, well, I used to be an accountant in Bucharest. So we drive further along and they're still having their conversation, and they pull up to the house where they're supposed to be at. And we get a picture of the house, and it's a dark, wooded, a rather large estate. It's really neat looking from the outside, although it does kind of give me the impression that we are entering the Danish version of the Amityville house, but that's okay. So as they approach, the man tells the lady, my wife, she's just had this surgery. You're going to have to help out. You're going to have to tend to the chickens. You're going to have to do the cooking and the cleaning. And the young lady is kind of like, well, that's cool. You know, it's no problem. I don't have a problem with doing that. And as he's showing her around the estate, she inquires, I'm going to need to charge my phone. And the gentleman kind of answers very nonchalantly and says, we don't have electricity. And she looks at him kind of sideways and is like, well, why? And he's like, we live a very simple life here. We don't require energy. She's just kind of like, oh dear. So right away, as we're watching the film, we're like, okay, so something is up with the couple. They're a little psycho, and this poor girl from Bucharest who is here trying to make her money, she is in for a surprise. So as we're watching, and keep in mind everything is very dimly lit as we're walking in. Not too dimly lit to where we're annoyed, but dimly lit to where we're like, how do these people live? And this is a bit creepy. But the scenery outside might lead you to think that maybe it's not so creepy. Maybe they're just like living in a wooded area, and that's okay. So as they continue on, the man, who is the male lead character, he shows her around and he's showing her how to light the candles and how much light to apply to the candles that are in the house, exactly how to feed the chickens and how she's going to have to clean out this chicken coop. Both the husband and the wife are vegetarians. They don't eat meat, so the lady is kind of like, well, that's fine, you know, I'm okay with that. She seems to be a very nice, gentle, amicable character, and so far we're feeling like, well, you know, could be okay, although these people are going to snap. The lady still hasn't, the maid still hasn't been introduced to the leading female character. So as the maid is being situated inside of this house that has no electricity and no running water, she's sitting on the bed, and you can tell from her disposition that she's kind of like, oh, what am I going to do here? There's no electricity, I can't charge my phone, there's no TV. And as she's unpacking her things, the lead female character walks in. She is looking like Children of the Corn. She has this very blonde hair. Her face is pale. She's wearing a house coat. And as she appears in the doorway, she just says, hello. And the maid replies hello back, but then the lady just kind of drifts off. We're left feeling like these people are probably going to eat this maid. You know, I can't kind of wait to see what happens. As the story goes on, the maid, she does her work. She kind of does it with a really happy attitude. She cleans the chicken coop with this great smile on her face. The chickens are entertaining her. The female character still hasn't really been that present within the film at this point until she walks into the female lead's room. She's struggling to put on her socks. The maid, whose name is Elena, says, let me help you. And she helps the wife put on the socks. The wife is kind of acting like she is a robot. The eeriness that's kind of coming from off of her character would lead someone who's watching the film to suspect that perhaps the wife is like this psycho lady. We're getting into territory where it kind of looks like perhaps these people are going to do something really horrible to this maid. I can't stress enough how the beginning of the film would lead you to suspect that. Later on in the film, we see that the wife is going to have some Reiki energy work done on her body. She has this man whose name is Leo come in and do energy work on her. And the maid kind of sees what's going on. She's looking really like suspect and a little bit cynical. She kind of has this this disposition and attitude about her, like this is complete hullabaloo and she's really not trying to hear it, but she really doesn't say anything about it. A couple of days later, to what we would think is a couple of days later, we see that the wife has this renewed energy about her. She is just looking beautiful and alive. And there's more contact with the maid, and they kind of develop this relationship and rapport with each other. And then the film starts to feel like happy-go-lucky and really cute. More and more we start to see the maid Elena and the wife start to open up to each other, and they are playing around together. They're sitting outside together. They're having deep conversations and sharing parts of their lives with each other. We find out that the maid Elena actually has a 5-year-old son that she's left in Bucharest, and he's there because she needs to come over and make money so that she can get an apartment back in Bucharest and she and her son can be together. To which the wife asks Elena, don't you miss him? Elena responds, yeah, I miss him, but I'm doing this for him. Both of the characters are completely human. I can't tell you enough. But in the back of our heads, we're still thinking, look, this is a horror movie. Somebody's going to snap. We can't figure out which of the characters are going to snap. It's kind of the theme that kind of plays throughout the entire film. We don't know which of these entities, the husband or the wife or the maid, Elena, we don't know who's the bad one. So through conversation, the wife asked the maid, will you carry a child for me? Before she had the surgery to which she had lost a child previously, she had her female organs removed, and before she had her female organs removed, she froze her eggs. Previously, the wife has told Elena that with this energy work that she just had, she had some very bad energy that was stored inside of her body. Elena kind of asked the wife, like, do you believe in this? And the wife is like, absolutely. I believe most certainly the energy is stored within the body, and if it's negative, it can have very negative effects on you. Elena, the maid, takes into consideration the proposal that is made by the wife. The wife has told Elena if she carries this child, she wouldn't have to work and it would be fine. She would pay her. She could get this apartment back in Bucharest and everything would work out. She would have the child. Elena could move back to her hometown and take care of her child, and everybody is happy in the end. Elena tells the wife, yes, I will carry your child. And the wife is so elated. Elena is really elated. She's like, you're gonna have to pay me, but I don't mind doing this. Still very sweet and still very cute. So months go by. Elena is not feeling so well. She has been implanted with the embryo. It is now solidified that Elena is pregnant, but she is now sick, and the sickness starts to take a toll on Elena. She's very tired. She's having pains. She's not quite sure what this is about. Her eyes are darkened. She's very thin. She doesn't look very healthy, but when she goes to this doctor, of course the wife is at the visits, the doctor is telling her that everything is fine. Elena is like, this is weird. She's having strange dreams. There's dead babies in the dream. She doesn't really understand what's happening to her, especially since she's already been pregnant before. Internally, we can see that this character is struggling with what the doctor is telling her and what she's actually feeling. But I don't feel like this character actually expresses, at this point when the symptoms first begin, how deeply and how ferociously horrible she feels. The months have gone by. It gets to be a bit too much for Elena, almost to the point where she's sneaking around and she's smoking cigarettes. The wife catches her. Nothing really cataclysmic happens when these two issues are going on, when the wife finds out and when Elena is smoking a cigarette. And of course she lies when the wife inquires why her hands smell like smoke. If she's been smoking, she says, of course not. Elena is beginning to change. Her personality is getting darker and a bit more sinister, whereas the couple is kind of remaining stable and extremely supportive. Throughout at least this section of the film, Elena is having more and more vivid dreams. She actually has a session of Reiki work done by Reiki worker Leo. He removes a headache from her head and she says that she feels better. She's still not looking better and nobody's really helping her. Slowly we see the descent, the decline and degradation and disintegration of the relationship. And it begins to feel really sad because you understand that both people actually, it's not that they don't care about each other. It's not that Elena doesn't want to help. You do see that she feels like the child is going to hurt her. So now I'm going to stop with the plot analysis and I'm going to go straight into my thoughts on the film. This is one of the best horror films that I've seen in 2016. Super creepy. The direction, the set was extremely eerie. Did not expect the ending. The writer and director of the film did a really good job of misleading the viewer in a good way, in a curious way, as to what's really going to happen within the film. We can't figure anything out. I'm not going to give you any clues, although I have decided that I'm going to give you a theory at the end of the video. If you want to know what I actually think about what happened during the film, I'm going to leave that section at the very end of the video after the Sis and Kimberly pop up. So if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to, but if you want to know what I think, then that's going to be at the end. This film reminds me a lot of Rosemary's Baby. I feel like it's very Polanski inspired. The lead characters and the supporting characters do a really good job of being very convincing, and they make me feel like, you know, the relationship between Elena and the wife was so sweet, and it just kind of makes your heart sink when you're thinking, because this is a horror film, you're thinking that this just isn't going to turn out correctly. It's not going to end well, but you don't want to see it evolve into what it's supposed to be. All three of them had this really good chemistry together, and I think that was one of the great parts of the film. These people really brought forth this energy and this kind of caring attitude towards each other, and you just really don't want to see that fail. But that's really a part of the allure of the film. I think that setting it up in a farm-like kind of country setting where these people don't use energy and they don't have running water, but they also seem very sophisticated, so it's kind of like contradictory themes that are going on, so we don't know what the deal is. I think that's really one of the interesting parts of the film. I can't stress enough how creepy and how kind of crazy that the film kind of evolves into. I was completely freaked out. When the film was over, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this film was really, really good. So I would give this film an A+. I wouldn't say that it was I wouldn't say that it was one of those extreme gore films. It definitely wasn't that. None of the scenes relied at all on CGI. It was mainly through direction and cinematography that we got the essence of where the horror was coming from, and I was into it. So if you enjoy films that are completely creepy, completely eerie, and will leave you feeling like I might be a little bit sick and oh, that was terrible, then Shelley is definitely the film for you. I can't stress more that writers and directors should give their audience some credit for being smart, and this film did it, and I always love to find films that do that. And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be making films, and whoever made this film did a really good job. So if you're into that sort of thing, then I would highly suggest watching it. Let me know in the comments down below if you have watched Shelley or any other really interesting horror film that's not so over the top with the horror but knows how to produce the creepy and totally eerie air that you kind of want when you're watching a horror film. Sometimes you don't need things to go over the top. Sometimes you need things that are subtle, and subtlety does the job. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you all have a really good day, and until the next time, if you're into it, watch it. Okay, as promised, I said that I was going to let you guys know what I thought about the entire film, and in doing that, I'm going to have to give away the ending. So if you're here, if you're watching this, you have 5 seconds before I start to give away my theory, and that will give away a part of the ending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think that what happened was the wife was saying that she had some really bad energy, and the disaster that happened with her losing her child and then having to get all of her female organs removed, that was traumatic. Anybody who knows anything about energy or energy within the body, they would know that negative energy can be stored within the body. It does have a negative effect. So that's why when she had her eggs frozen, those eggs still had all of that negative energy that she didn't yet have removed from her body in them. So she has the operation, she has her eggs frozen, then she comes back and she has that Reiki work done by Leo, and she gets all of her energy, all of the negative energy taken out, but those eggs still had it. So when Elena was having the issues with the pregnancy, it was all kind of a manifestation of the energy that was still in the eggs. And that is by theory. And it's funny because, towards the end of the film, they don't really give you an explanation. I think that they either expect for you to figure it out, since the child ultimately turns out to be evil, or they lead you to do some research. But I already had that I already have like a little bit of knowledge about energy and how it can be stored, and you probably do need to have it removed either by balancing those chakras or having some sort of energy work, planting your feet on the ground or something like that. But they did a really good job. I really didn't expect for it to end like that. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I did feel the need to express my theory in case, maybe somebody wanted to figure it out or didn't know, or maybe they had another theory. If you have another theory, then I don't know. Should you leave it in the comments? Do what you want. But that's my theory.